Gunnarsson. Valbert skorar. Valbert Gunnarsson hefur skorað. Ragnar Bergjesson og skoðaðar. Glæsilega. Óskar Rafn á móti Bjarna. Og Bjarni með góða sendingu fyrir og það aftur Ingvarsson.
Hello and welcome to another.
Not ever.
Not okay. Okay. Either another episode of the Best of Pod ever or the Best of Pod not ever, depending on your point of view. I'm Ragnar. I'm joined as always by
Rikkubi
and
Jamie.
Two men of different emotional states currently, as you could probably tell from how incredibly sort of eager one was to speak up and how not one the other was. We're here to talk to you about the Besta Deildin. The Besta Deildin is actually grammatically incorrect, but let's not worry about that. It is round 27, the final round, the most important round, some might say. For the second week in a row, nobody cares about the top half if we ignore Stjarnan and Breiðablik fans, which we will for the time being. Everyone cares about the bottom half. All eyes were on four teams, sort of. IA, KR, Vestri, and Afturelding. IA had to sort of royally screw things up. No, they were safe. We determined this, right? IA were safe no matter what. I lived in a fantasy land where IA could have theoretically screwed everything up and they would have been relegated. This was not the case. So I guess nobody cared about IA. But they cared about them because they were playing Afturelding. And theoretically, if Afturelding had won and KR had lost or something, some shit had gone down.
It was after Elding needed to win and they needed a draw in Easterfield between Vestri and KR.
That's right. Spoiler alert, didn't happen. So after that, I think, unfortunately, we bid adieu to. We have to, I guess, give them props for their home form.
Yeah. I mean, both teams, I think, will. I don't know if we should keep the suspense going, but I mean, if you look at the first half of the season, both teams had a really good season.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was in the top six up until the last few minutes of before the split, even.
Mm-hmm.
So that neither team is like we're not seeing some that has been in the past. I think my mind goes to Leiknir. I don't know if that's fair. That's just how my mind is. There are teams that have just been always on the way down, and there was never anything going to save them. I think a lot of people thought that would be IBVF, especially after they got the injuries, but. Yeah, and I don't think there was none of the teams this year were relegation certainties.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I guess the relegation certainties were IBVF and IA at some point.
I mean, I remember the talk at the very start of the season was just like IBVF all the way, like throw your house, bet that on IBVF going down.
Yeah, I think especially when they got the injuries to their two best players, there's that now famous interview with the manager right before the season, Thorlagur, who was on a phone call with his son, and his son was like, he said, are you serious, Dad? Are you going into the season with this squad? Yeah, so I think that says a lot about people's opinions of IBVF, but at least there hasn't been any noise from Vestmannaeyjar about discontent or pessimism or anything. It feels like they've always just been like, no, we're going to put our heads down and get to work.
I mean, I kind of want to shout out Sigurður Arnar for IBVF for his interview after the final round. I don't know if you guys saw this. He was so upset. You didn't see this?
Nope.
Oh my God. He was so upset about IBVF's finish. and he was saying he was annoyed about what they let happen on the pitch. I think it's disrespectful how we finished this game, and as an EBVF fan, I'm upset about it. And it's unacceptable that players go onto the pitch and don't give their all. There's always other players that would be, that would jump at the chance of playing instead of you if you guys aren't willing to play. And it's annoying that we can't finish the games properly and show up. And if you watch this interview that he did after the final game, he was fuming at losing the President's Cup, right? And how EBVF finished the last few games. And I fucking love seeing this. I mean, there was so much heart from this guy. He was if you watch this, he's so genuinely upset about how they finished the season. And it's he talked about it, how everyone thought that they were going to go down at the start of the season. And to go from that, it's easy to lean on, oh, we stayed up, so everything's chill. But no, none of that. He was just genuinely upset that he didn't feel like his teammates were giving it their all towards the end of the season, and they could have done even better.
It's quite refreshing to see. I feel like we don't get that enough, especially in leagues like ours with the split, where realistically for at least 4 games they've had absolutely nothing to play for. And I think maybe that comes from the element of still having a number of local players in a lot of these teams. It's fair play to him. A lot of respect to him, and it's very refreshing to see.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it speaks a lot to EBVF's character and their motivation this season, and it'll be very interesting to see if they can follow this up. I mean, they are now losing their best player, or one of their best players, Oliver Hedersson, who's going to Croatia, which is an interesting move. So he will be leaving at the end of the season. There's already talk about Sverre Patel as well, a big player this season. He's going to leave. Their goalkeeper has signed a new deal, which is good. But as we talked about before, he could still leave. It just maybe for some money.
Mm-hmm.
So they will need to try to rebuild to a certain extent this summer, and then bringing this mentality into next year, because it will be tough again next year. For sure, but I agree with Jamie. Very refreshing to hear.
But a big positive for them has to be that they've kept hold of their coach and got him to sign a new deal. So there's at least some stability there going into next season.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, their form losing the last 3, you can see why. I mean, he's a local boy, right? You can see why he was annoyed. But I mean, yeah, big props to that. Such genuine disappointment there, but it really shows. It shows maybe something different from some of the other teams that we've seen, specifically KR. If we're going to break into the game of the round, finally, we all watched this game live, surely.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Our dad took a KR bus up to Ísafjörður to watch this game with a bunch of fans. He said there was probably about 100 KR fans, if not more, there. I watched it in a packed bar in Copenhagen, full of KR fans.
I watched it on my laptop in Romania.
I watched it in the freezing cold in Ísafjörður.
I was nervous. I was very nervous before this game. I did not think it was going to go the way that it went. I guess surely everyone knows, this is common knowledge, that KR won 5-1. The big question is the offside, or noffside, as some people claim.
Again.
Again. So what's your take on this?
Immediate reaction in the stadium from me was, I was completely baffled. Like, the first thought was that it was for the pass across the box.
If I may interject, this is
Absolutely.
the discussion that I've heard so much after the game, that everyone's talking about the pass across the box. But to me, watching the game, at least on TV, it made no sense for me to be discussing that, because it's clearly the first pass that's being discussed.
Right, yeah. And I mean, I think the question of that and the discussion around that has come from how late the flag was.
Yeah.
I know there's this whole like waiting to see the move play out before flagging rule, or whether it's not a rule or just common sense or whatever it is. But yeah, because of how late the flag was, being in the ground, I think 90% of people assumed it was for that the squaring of the ball across, which even in real time, without the benefit of replays, it absolutely could not have been. But like moving back from that, it has to be for the first ball from I think it was Aron plays the ball forward to Gunionis, who is very much on the shoulder. And I'll be honest, I've watched this back 5 or 6 times this afternoon, and my immediate jump to, probably because of the biases and support that I have for Vestri, is it's not offside, but it's so tight that it's almost impossible to like freeze the frame on the replays to the exact moment. So yeah, I'm really torn. I think I decided after like my 7th or 8th rewatch that I think Luke Ray is playing him onside at the bottom of the screen, but I'm not 100% on that.
It's tough. I agree, because I've seen it. So my dad was in the stadium, and when I spoke to him after the game, he said he was relatively level with the linesman when it happened, and he felt that it was offside in the moment, but he's very biased. So it's hard to say which way that one swings. But I have also looked at it, and it's very difficult to judge, because it is extremely tight. And the only conclusion you can draw from that is that in a non-VAR world, this is what happens. So then the question is, do you want VAR? I mean, if you look at the sort of Real Madrid offside, which happened a couple of days ago, this is the trade-off, right? They're perfectly exemplified here. There's this goal where, offside or not, I don't really know. And then there's, on the other side of the equation, there's the Real Madrid thing where there's like a millimeter of calf that is offside. Let's flag it. Which one do you prefer? What world do you want to live in?
This is the thing with offside. It's when VAR came in, there was all this subjectivity around like what can be reversed and what cannot. The great thing about offside, if we look at it in a positive way, is it's black or white. You are offside or you're not, whether it's by a millimeter, which wouldn't have been picked up before the technology, but like you can draw this line and you are off or you are on. There's no subjectivity or like benefit of the doubt kind of thing. I, with full bias in mind, given some of the decisions this season, would want it. And maybe in this scenario, I can't put my finger on it because of how tight it is, whether it would fall for or against Vestri in this situation. But given the previous between the exact same 2 teams back in June, I would be wanting it just to avoid any doubt.
Yeah. It's really like, because now then they just start, as soon as VR was introduced, then they started to like Arsene Wenger comes with this thing of like, the millimeters is too imprecise. Let's make it into a 5 or 10 centimeter line, and then you have to. But like that, I never
can, right?
Yeah, it just changes where the line is being drawn.
So my obviously genius proposal is that the only thing that should be allowed. So the linesman can flag for offside. Here's my proposal, FIFA. Take it if you want, but just credit me. The linesman can flag, and a flag means that it's called and it will be checked. And then the check is just that the referee can view it at full speed, a maximum of n times n, probably equaling 3, maybe 5, full speed, and then has to make a call, and that's it. Because I do appreciate that an offside is theoretically a black and white thing, but a black and white call is not in line with the spirit of the law. It's in line with the letter of the law for sure, but it's certainly not in line with the spirit of the law. And when you have an offside like the Real Madrid one that I just mentioned, where it's a couple of millimeters of calf muscle, it's not really in the spirit of the offside rule as sort of originally proposed. It's to prevent sort of goal hanging and obvious benefits to the striker from being well beyond the first defender. So I think that instead of trying to sort of binarize this thing into a weird black and white kind of thing where you just say, oh, he's offside by an absolute hair on his leg, or the part of his arm that we deem to be not sort of irrelevant, then I don't know, that something about this speaks to me that you could just say, okay, we'll watch it back full speed a couple times, and that's all you get. You don't get an infinite number of times. You just get maybe 3. You can watch back full time. If it's clearly offside, if you're confident with the offside, then call it. If not, then no.
Yeah, but that's my whole problem with VAR, and not my whole, but that's a big problem with VAR for me, is that, I mean, we're not the La Liga podcast, but the penalty that Madrid got and missed, like you're replaying it 15 times to see, like, okay, is the hand making a movement towards the ball, but like at that point you're slowed it so far down and it's so out of context, like like yes, there was movement, but like the ball came at him from like 30 centimeters, and it changed direction, and like he's sliding in on the at the Clásico. I mean, we had it. I don't remember. I'm blanking on who it was now. We had the whole discussion on what it was. Valur, right? It got a penalty.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing of like, the ball is coming at you, but how close it is, and like when you start replaying it so much and dissecting it into, and all these tackles and things, like when you start dissecting it into like super slow motion, you lose all context of what actually happened. And yeah, so like in that sense, I do agree with. I don't like this super slow motion thing. I don't think it adds. I think it just detracts so many things away from everything. But I would like to say, in this specific instance, I think it's a bad run from Gunnarjóns. I think he's running against Finnur and against the left back, sorry, who have never been that fast. And you're trying to make a play like long ball, the line is super high. I think we tell this when we're coaching our team, our youth team, we have a fast guy who keeps making this exact run. He's off the shoulder of the guy, and then when the ball comes, then he runs. And it's like, no, you start further back and you make the run, like you sort of cut in. You don't start off the shoulder of the guy when you make the run. Like I think it's also a bad run. He should be trying to make the run sort of, either behind him or just like straight in front of him and go for it like that, to be honest.
I don't know if I agree there, because I mean, in the context of it, it's straight after the kickoff, after the first goal, and so it's, I suppose, adrenaline pumping. Okay, maybe it isn't the greatest decision, but I actually thought on watching it back that it was a pretty good run. You can see as well that he tries to bend the run to keep on the line, and it's a fantastic ball from Aron. It's just, and in fairness to him, there's been a lot of discussion about it, but the linesman's in a great position. My only criticism is if he's so certain he's offside, why did he wait?
Yeah, but I never know when flags are waved anymore. Like I think they're being waved way too late now. I think that's on purpose. I think they're supposed to, because they're not supposed to wave. I mean, I know definitely in VAR world, VAR leagues, they're not supposed to wave because it could put off the striker and they could be wrong. But at that point, why even have linesmen?
Agreed. And then, I
don't know how it is in Iceland, but like I think they do. I've seen this so many times. I think maybe it's a FIFA thing. Like they're not supposed to wave until like it's just like action is completely done. And I don't know. I think it's really stupid.
I feel like it's a weird holdover from VAR places into Iceland where there isn't VAR, right? Because it's understandable that you don't wave the flag until the offside player interferes. This is a sort of a classic thing that we would expect, that if, for example, another player had been offside and he sort of doesn't interfere until later, then you would flag. But in this case, it does seem to be a sort of like, as if VAR were a thing. So you wait for the action to complete and see if something's going to happen, and then you wave. And I agree that it's functionally fully equivalent to just not having a linesman and only having a VAR man in a fucking van somewhere, which, by the way, it's weird. Just have them somewhere else, not in a van. It's strange. But yeah, he waves for the circumstances. I don't understand why he's waving so late.
The other thing that I picked up is, in a world where footballers appeal for absolutely everything, even when it's completely obviously against them, I don't see a single appeal for offside anywhere in this. And that strikes me as a little bit strange. But I'm clutching at straws. And realistically, does it change the result? No. Would it have been a completely different game at 1-1 with 60 minutes to go? Absolutely. And to circle back to sort of the game in general, I actually thought Vestri had a pretty good first half, minus the sort of capitulation at the end. I thought it was a pretty even game. Certainly 2 or 3 good chances, 2 possible penalties that we can maybe debate. I don't know how much of stonewalls they were. There's certainly one of them, a bit of a shove on Cafu, that I would like to maybe call back if I had the option. But yeah, it was a pretty good game. I think the game was absolutely sealed and killed by the sucker punch 2 goal either side of halftime.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I went into I don't want to say, actually, I don't want to say went into halftime, but I was sort of, the first half was fiery. And I thought it was a great game. I had a lot of fun watching. I was shitting myself, but I thought it was actually a fun game to watch because both teams were really going for it. It really wasn't, like a Champions League final where both teams are sitting back and afraid to lose. This was 2 teams really going for the win, which was really fun to watch. And there was a lot of anger in the game, which was a lot of fun to watch. But from my biased point of view, I never truly felt like KR were the worst team. I was very nervous when the game started, but by 15 minutes in, I felt like, okay, KR, they probably have this here. How did you feel sort of for the meat of the first half?
Not too bad. Like, you'd think going 1-0 down pretty early on, it would be a bit of a punch to the gut, but I thought the response was good. And for a team that, I mean, the facts tell you didn't score many goals this season, I thought in the first half especially, Vestri created a lot of decent chances and opportunities. I mean, there's the one chance in particular that jumps out at me for August about midway through the first half, where he has an unmarked volley, and it was obviously a difficult ball to control falling out of the air, but it was a great opportunity. I think had it gone into half-time at 1-0 without the sort of mistake that leads to the second goal, or the clumsiness that leads to the second goal right on the stroke of half-time, there'd have been a lot more optimism. But I guess this is the polarization of football. I also kind of felt like you, but from the opposite perspective. I never really felt too worried in the first half, even after the goal, which is maybe a bit strange when we look at the full-time result and it finished 5-1. But
yeah, I think as a KR fan, I never felt safe because of it's KR. Like, I think as soon as they reduced, was it 2-1 or was it 3-1? 3-1, right?
3-1. Yeah.
And then a big part of me was like, fuck, here we go. So Adrian scoring like seconds or a minute after that was, I think then I started to relax at that point, because like even they cannot screw this up. Because I did think they'd been playing well. I think also Akoto is a player in defense that is a big boost to the KR defense. Akoto, I think he's done really well.
I almost wanted to give him a star of the week. I thought he was honestly, like, you can look at all the goals and do whatever you want, but I would have given him man of the match.
Yeah, I think he's been really good since he's come in. He looked very rusty because he had been injured. He has been injured for a really long time, and he was basically shoved straight into the starting lineup, into a very chaotic starting lineup. But I think every game that I've seen him, he's looked great, and I think I agree. I think he was fantastic in this. He connects in the midfield and the defense really well. Mm-hmm. He's full energy. He talks constantly. I think he's fantastic. So I think he's a huge reason why it ended the way it ended. I completely agree. I think without him, this could have gone much worse from our perspective.
There were so many instances. I mean, just seeing him in the defense, he was so calm and so capable. It was a totally different KR defense purely because of him. He played like a true center back. Great performance. Honestly, I thought he was. Without him, KR, I don't know. I think the most impactful change you could have made on the game, if you sort of move to an alternate universe, is to take him out of the game. I don't know what would have happened if he hadn't been there. He really solidified the KR defense and brought home the win. I think without him, I'm not sure they would have won. The offensive game was good, of course, and they scored a bunch of goals, but there were so many small moments, so many instances where he really kept things tight at the back, I think he was, for me, he was man of the match.
Yeah, I think it's between him and Eldorado, and I know that he got slack for missing a basically an open goal, which wasn't great.
Yeah.
But he scored exactly like how he's supposed to. Like that second goal was amazing. Like that finish.
Oh, the little chip
was great, and I think it might have been the goal that it's either the goal he scored, his second goal or another goal, but like he just played. This is exactly when people were maybe a bit crazily talking about him being, the best striker in the league and should even be looked at for the national team, because the way he connects, it's a bit much, but like the way he holds up the ball and connects the play, and not just the header of the ball, but provides this pivot thing up top is just insane. So I think Akoto and Eiður Gauti, Akoto and Eiður Gauti are like, without them, I think this is a very different KR team, and we've seen that in this season when they haven't been there, haven't been playing or starting. That's something that Oscar needs to fix in the postseason, because we can't rely on those two. And I mean, who knows if Akoto is staying?
I mean, I absolutely hope so. What about Vestri? Do we have any sort of standout performers there? I mean, Vladimir Tufa. I mean, he's one of these players that when I watch Vestri, when they're not playing KR, when my inclinations are towards Vestri, then I love the guy. And then when it's KR playing Vestri, I absolutely despise him. I think he should start on an orange card. And same with Diego. Honestly, I love him. I love him when I'm rooting for Vestri, but he grinds my shit when I'm playing against him. And then Anton as well, he has this little bit in him. And there was that little incident, but there's sort of the couple of incidents, right, where Diego got sort of his shirt pulled by the KR bench, trying to take a throw in. And then we had the little sort of niggling foul before, and then things kind of heated up. Was it just last game of the season type stuff, or is it? I mean, I don't know. I feel like it was just another one of those things when Vestri on the other side of the lines, to me, they absolutely make my blood boil.
There's definitely all season been an element of the dark arts, which I can completely understand where you're coming from, because when you're on the right side of it, or the side giving it out, you love to see it. It's fantastic. Like the art of the subtleties and the dark arts is beautiful to watch sometimes.
Like when Diego grabs his leg. You know what I'm talking about? He goes down and sort of pull. I forget whose leg he pulls, but oh god, I would love it under any other circumstance.
Exactly, yeah. But if you're on the receiving end, it's enough to send you insane, isn't it? But there was a bit of it from both sides. I mean, you mentioned the shirt pull in the dugout, and that was it. Yeah. Also, that certainly rattled a few around me in the stand, because it seemed to go completely missed by the officials, as did a lot of the sort of 50-50s. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a whole other story, which I'll try and avoid getting into. But yeah, it was nice to see the fight. Like, the fight's been there all season from Vestri, and these dark arts have sort of been there as well, which personally I've enjoyed seeing. But it was, despite the scoreline, nice to not go down with a fight, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
he certainly couldn't complain that there was a lack of trying and effort. I think you've mentioned the quality of a couple of the KR goals, but I think watching it back today, a few of them, maybe three of them, I think definitely seem to have come from sort of the lapses in concentration that come from really trying to go out to either win the game at the start or get back into the game at sort of 2-3-0. So there's no real complaints from me about any of it. I'm almost more glad to have gone down on the end of a 5-1 than it be a 1-0 95th minute heartbreaker, you know?
Yeah. If we want to just touch on Jón Þór, maybe real quick. How do we feel there? Like, he was brought in to replace Davis Murray, and is not staying. I mean, his post-match interview was great, by the way. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. He was not happy. He really sort of read the riot act to the referees in Iceland. he directed it to. In general, he was unhappy with it and just said he was not staying, doesn't know if he's going to keep coaching. He was very upset. Do we have any musings on sort of him as a player in all this?
It's a tough one. Like, he was thrust himself almost by accepting the call into a very difficult situation. In a way, I guess it was sort of a no-lose situation for him, because it ends like this. He's only had 3 games. How much can be attributed to him? If we'd won the game on Saturday and he'd kept us up after his 3 games, he's a hero and he's got a pick of another job, you know? So it's difficult. I'm glad it was him in a way, because it's better that it was someone who had been at the club before, understood the club, knew the club, and so you could tell that he really did feel it, and you could tell by the post-match interview that he sort of got what everyone was feeling. I mean, I was trying to avoid it earlier, but mentioning that he lambasted referees in Iceland in general, I spoke to maybe a couple of handfuls of people before the game, just in the stands, and sort of trying to get the vibe of what everyone was expecting. And the vibe was, we know what to expect. Like, we're playing against KR and we know what referees are like when they come to Ísafjörður. Seeing this wasn't unexpected for a lot of people. But anyway, moving away from that, like, I don't know where he goes from here. He had a difficult start to the season in Akranes and difficult end, even though it was only 3 games. So it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot for him that I don't know where he can take it.
No, I mean, there's no obvious job in Vestri-Deildin for him. So yeah, you would wonder if he does keep coaching, which I hope he does. Like, he's a character you want to be in the league, but hopefully maybe he can be in the first division, which would add to the incredible names that are being added to that league. So that would be fun to see him in the first division for someone, maybe Hauka or someone, if they do end up needing a coach, as it looks like they will. But yeah, it's a frustrating end, right? You would want to maybe speak to the Vestri management, not now, but maybe in a few weeks, and ask what they think of the change of the coaches. Do you think it was still the right decision? That's going to be the big question. Yeah,
but I mean, we discussed it a couple of weeks ago. It's one of those things that you make the decision in the moment, and then, I mean, it kind of doesn't matter what they say now. It's always going to be colored by what happened, and that's kind of, to some extent, to do with the coach. But if, you know, KR had shown up in a worse state and they'd won, all of a sudden the coach is better, having done the exact same job. So
yeah, I mean, there was a not to promote other podcasts, but the Tifo football podcast was talking about if you replaced all the managers in the Premier League with cats and one of them inevitably won it, then and 3 of them got relegated, then you would start saying that one cat is a better manager than the others. Exactly. And those three cats are terrible.
I mean, exactly. It's so results based, and you sort of retroactively interpret everything. I mean, we do it, but it is ridiculous. But we try to do it over longer periods of time, which is more statistically significant. For example, Oscar, who everyone I've spoken to, has said to me, "Oh yeah, there's no talk of him being under any pressure at all." That's the only thing I get when I talk to people about Oscar. It's just like, "Oh yeah, the media hasn't been talking about that at all," which is a weird sort of take to get from everybody.
Yeah, quite good at spinning the news cycle, and I think in the same way that we talked about that, you know, a lot of other clubs are probably happy that KR have, not just because it's KR, but the managers and the players have been quite happy that that KR has dominated the news cycle. I think he's probably also quite happy that there's this chaos at Breiðablik and Valur and other places now, because if everything had been going great for the other teams and it was fully on focus on KR, and then maybe there would be even more focus on him. But he is pretty good at spinning it. But yeah, the story will not be able to won't work forever, right? So we'll see. But for now, yeah, the management at KR said that he is not going anywhere anytime soon. But it's what the Breiðablik management said about Altor like a few hours before he was sacked. So
it is the sort of kiss of death, right? But that's the thing. We talked about this with Oscar. We should move on from this game at some point in the near future. But we said, you know, if he wins this game, he'll be a genius and keep them up, blah blah blah. And I've always since then, it's popped into my mind now and then. I felt like, surely not. You can't think of him as a genius who keeps them up after you fucked up the entire season and then you just win one game. Surely not. But I kind of can see it because you could say that they played very convincingly, that they played the sort of beautiful attacking, free-flowing football that absolutely ended up with a scoreline of 5-1. Like, how can you not back this manager? It's absolute Barcelona going on over there. After one game, if you just ignore the other 26 games, then it looks fantastic.
I mean, then you had Aronsi coming out after the game, doubling down on his claims that he had after, the beginning or the earlier part in the season where he said the KR were the force that's going to dominate Icelandic football. And he said it after this game as well, that, we're coming for you, basically. And yeah, some people ridiculed him for it, but I think there is this belief, for some of the players at least, that something is happening there. But I guess we'll see, right? I mean, if Aron stays, for example, he's one of the true litmus tests or whatever you want to call it for this management, because if he stays, then there's clearly belief, because he's way too good to be staying at a sinking ship. So we'll see what happens in the postseason.
I mean, if Akado stays, then we'll talk. But what else? The other game, if we want to finally, after like 30 hours of talking about this game, we want to move on. Stjarnan Breiðablik was the other game. And Breiðablik, so close to Europe. So close.
Millimeters.
Yeah, literal millimeters. And yet, no, Stjarnan still clinching the final European spot. I mean, you can always, like we talked about before, in terms of sort of revisionist football, you can say that Breiðablik made a huge mistake. They paid a bunch of money for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, they played this. This is maybe their best game in a while. So if it works next season, we'll see, and maybe they can get a few wins and 1 or 2 points or wins or whatever in Europe. That'll get them some money as well. But yeah, it's going to be hard. But yeah, I think it's. I mean, we've seen now Stjarnan getting to Europe, and they've signed Bit this night. That's just happened a few minutes or an hour ago. That's been officialized now. Probably just waiting for that result to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see what happens to Breiðablik, if anything. I would assume they have enough. I mean, they do have enough money to keep this squad together, but do they have enough pool to bring in the names they probably need to go and challenge Víkingur next season? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Víkingur ending the season 12 points clear of Valur, beating them 2-0 in the final game of the season, and Tuva being sacked, of course, from Valur as well. I mean, it's funny. We've discussed this so many times over the season, but we can finally say that Valur had a shit season, ending in second place.
They have one more point than they did last season, and then that season they ended in third, nowhere near the top 2. Stjarnan actually ended on the same amount of points as last season, 42. So I mean, a lot of it has to say that Breiðablik were just terrible. FO actually have 1 less point than they did last season, and then Fram replaces IA. Basically the only thing that changed in the top half was that Breiðablik weren't very good this season. That's everything else stayed basically the same.
Yeah.
And then you flip Fram and IA. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we go back a couple of months to the situation at the top, I don't think maybe any of us would have put Víkingur winning the league by 12 points. It's I don't know if you want to call it Víkinger's return to like incredible form or a collapse from Stjarnan and Valur to end up being like that. But I mean, yeah, incredible, really.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't think anyone thought they were going to be this far up. But I think if you look at Víkingur's point total, they have 2 points less than they did last season, and they were 3 points. I mean, technically 3 points behind Breiðablik, but that was a thing that was over well before that. So that was not a competition. That was Breiðablik, and I mean the season before that you had Víkingur. So like the last 2 seasons you've had Breiðablik and Víkingur just absolutely storming the league way before and just ending it way before the season was over. And then this season you didn't really have that. You just had a team that was quite good, and that was enough. Because the other teams haven't improved. That's clearly what we can see. The other teams haven't. It's just a matter of if Breiðablik or Víkingur can storm to the lead, or because the other teams don't seem to be doing anything. And I don't know what this change at Valur is going to do. Edward Helson has done some good things as the manager, but is he the one to completely change things around in Valur? I don't know.
Is that really the discussion? Completely changed things. I mean, it's a couple of wins that you need, right? I say couple, 4. Like, I don't know. There's a point to be made about maybe it's a sort of vibes thing, because we've been saying it from the very beginning that Valur have not been having such a terrible season, and yet the feeling is that they've been having such a terrible season. So, like, what if they need the proverbial? I talked about this a few weeks ago. Maybe the Eiður Smáris, the Frank Lampards of the game, where it's the Carlo Ancelotti's, where sometimes the vibes bring the results, and the lack of vibes color what's actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about that man. I would assume he more brings shouts than vibes, but I don't know. Maybe that's being unfair.
I mean, shouts are a form of vibes for sure.
But do the vibes or the lack thereof come right from the top? I mean, these past few weeks from Valur and some of the decisions that they've made that we spoke about last week, that's enough to kill any sort of vibe that you might be getting or might even have in the future. Because, I mean, best of luck if you go there, if you're willing to be treated that way, if they continue to operate that way. It just still seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
No, it's a bit of a weird place. Seems like you go there, and there was a story now that they're looking at Jeppe Pedersen from Vestri, which seems like it's probably gonna happen. I would imagine, unless he gets an offer from somewhere else. But I found it funny that they were being linked with Tariq Ibrahimovic. Why in the world would he leave Víkingur to go to Valur? That seems like such a like. There's no team that's not against Valur, but why would he? This is one of the better teams and one of the better players in this league, who's had a really good, who's already made the jump from Vestri to Víkingur. Why would he go at best sideways? If we're being extremely generous.
I mean, there is such a thing as money in this world.
Yeah, but then just go abroad.
Yeah. I mean, let's get him on the phone. Let's ask him.
Is there an argument to be made for the possibility of playing time? I mean, I noticed a few times that maybe he dropped out the starting lineup, but he always seemed to be used quite well this season at Víkingur. So unless it's a case of they're willing to guarantee him 90 minutes every game that he's fit to play 90 minutes for,
But again, you wouldn't count that's happened so many times. I know he's not a young up and comer, whippersnapper, but they have how many young prospects sitting on the bench that don't get any playing time because they bring in some Danish midfielder last minute. I mean, I know he's also a Danish midfielder, so it's sort of. But yeah, I wouldn't go to Valur to get automatic playing time unless I was Patrick Pedersen, basically.
I mean, Jeppe Pedersen is the next best thing. Genetically speaking, he's 50% of him, right? And he's doing all right.
Ready-made replacement for a couple of years.
Exactly. Some people will not even know the difference. In terms of results, is there anything else major to speak of? I mean, from sort of eking out the win there against FH, things. I mean, overall from Rúnar, I think you'd look at the season quite positively. I mean, it wasn't an absolute best case scenario, but surely quite good.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Yeah, it's hard to say. I see them doing much better than this. I think it's been a really good season for Fram, and it's now just a matter of can they build on this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this game was, I guess, notable for one thing. It was FH's first home loss of the season. That's quite impressive that they lasted this long.
Must be the grass.
But yeah, no, I mean, good season for Fram, very good season for FH. I mean, both those teams, I don't think either of those teams are being predicted in the top 6, maybe at most one of them, and, passengers at most, I think. I don't think anyone was predicting them to have any effect on the top 6.
It's hard to say that they weren't passengers if you're going to go that route when they ended 5th and 6th, but I mean, word.
In fairness to both, I think they both threw their hat in the ring and gave as good as they got in this. After the split, they've certainly had a bit of a say in the Europe and top situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Fram were 6 points away from Europe.
I mean, Fram the entire season, they had the feel of the sort of team that anything could happen, no matter who they were playing. They could, if they wanted to grind out a 1-0, they could. You were never going to write them off in any game.
No, I think like I said, it's more about building now, because there is definitely a world where they lose a lot of players, and and go down a bit of a ditch. But I think they have a good manager. They've signed 2 very important players on contracts, Bistrom and Tibbling. So now they just need to keep some of the younger players as well, and keep Kenny Chopard on ice until the spring.
Oh, I love me some Kenny Chopard. The worst things that have ever happened to Coward is losing Runar and losing Kenny Chopard. Like, honestly, fantastic duo. But I mean, Runar is openly quite happy with how things have gone at Fram. Understandably so. And with that sort of being the vibe, surely it's the kind of place that should keep or attract at least sort of a decent amount of talent. I mean, it's not like it's a nobody training a sort of a nothing team. If I was a Fram fan, I'd be cautiously optimistic at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, there's stories that Bistrom rejected or had an option to speak to Valur and chose to stay at Fram, and that says quite a bit, I think, because money exists. I guess I would assume they have a fair bit more of it than Fram.
Yeah, most likely. You never know with Icelandic finances. Maybe Fram have some weird underground man or woman pumping cash into it on the down low.
But I mean, talking about Runar and Fram, should we go into our weird little team of the season?
Why not?
Sounds good.
Yeah, we've tried to create a team because it's boring to create a team of the best players in the league, because then you would just put most of Víkingur with a bit of, everyone's seen the team of the season, and they've seen it 3 different times from Fótbolta.net, from MBL, to from all these people. So we're trying to do a team of the season where you have one representative from every team, including the manager. And
but I thought we would just put Gylfi in every position. I thought he'd be a pretty good goalkeeper too.
So as it stands now, Gylfi is not in this team.
Hey,
it's a miracle.
I mean, I'm a big Gylfi fan. Don't get me wrong, but I agree with this. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's you always have to make some compromises when you're doing a team like this, because you could put the players you want to put, but then that means having to put a defender from Afturhelding or something like that into this team.
I mean, realistically, it should just be Víkingur, right? They were literally the team of the season.
Yeah, I think they can. We can have the discussion about the team of the season, but that would probably be this. But if we're having one from every team, that makes it harder. So you have to sort of make some little puzzles.
Yeah.
Because if you just put the players you want, then that means you're having to unless you want to put like 1-6, whatever left of that equation that I can't think right now.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a formation that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we've tried to do a team that makes some kind of sense. But I think it's up for discussion still. I think in goal we have Zabitowski from EPVAF.
Agreed. I'll always be upset about Árni Einarsson not making that, but I agree with the pick. I'm an outspoken fan.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to put Victor Freyr from Fram into this team. I think he's had a really good season, and I don't really understand why he's not getting more plotted at the end of the season. I think he's been. Every time I look at Fram, it's just like they concede some goals, but it's almost never his fault, and his saves are insane. I think that's one of those players that I think I would not be surprised if he gets snapped up during the winter transfer season.
And another name I know we floated around a bit this afternoon was Guy Smith. Considering some of the narrative around him last season, it's a bit of a comeback story. I mean, I know he's been in a team that's got relegated, but especially at the start of the season until maybe about the 3/4 mark, there was certainly no question marks. I mean, I don't think, similar to Victor Frey, you can put any sort of blame on him for goals conceded.
No, exactly. And then in defense, we created I think it's a pretty decent defense. Oliver Ekrat, Guðmundur Kristjánsson, Ekrat of Víkingur, Guðmundur Kristjánsson of Stjarnan, Valgeir Valgeis from Breiðablik, and Rúnar Már from IA. I think that maybe the Breiðablik pick might be a bit controversial. But I think, and again, considering the makeup of this team and who else we wanted to include, I think Valgeir is the choice that makes sense.
Yeah, unless you want to put Finnur Thomas to make up for that horrendous news segment the other day, or other week, rather.
Yeah, But I mean, it's hard to think of many defenders who like really stood out this season. I think this was very much a season of attackers, and then if you had a good defender, you did better than other teams, because as soon as you could defend, you could start winning.
Yeah.
And then so I think defense is pretty indisputable. Midfield is a bit attacking, you would say. Fatah has to do a lot of work in that because he's flanked by Aronsig and Hrannar Snær. Aronsig from KR and Hrannar Snær from Afturelding. So he's going to have to do a lot of running. And this is where people like Simon Tippling from Fram drop out, Daniel Hafsteinsson from Víkingur drop out, Gylfi drops out, a lot of other names. But yeah, I think it's hard to pick someone from Afturelding other than Hrannar Snær, and Aronsig was there were so many times when he just dragged his team on forward. Same, I think both of those players. I mean, all three kind of these guys just sort of dragged their teams out of messes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's hard to take any of them away. And then in attack, we have another guy who completely saved. I mean, two guys that, I guess all three guys kind of dragged their teams again. Hallgrímur Arnar from KR, Sigurður Bjartur from FH, and Patrik Pedersen from Valur. All very much game winners in their own right.
Well, now we're looking at the top three in the top scorer charts there as well. I think it's hard to look past them, really.
Yeah, exactly. So how do we feel that this team would do if you shove them into, let's say that all these players are also allowed to play for their other teams. Let's have a sort of a FIFA kind of scenario. How would this team do you think it would you bet your house on them winning the league?
Tough call. I mean, I'm getting from that midfield the sort of KR situation. I'm going to see a lot of goals, but I think we might be seeing a lot of goals at the other end as well. We're leaving a lot of work for the back five to do there.
Yeah, I think we'd have to see a sort of a back three of Oliver, Guðmundur, and Rúnar, and then Valgeir, and then someone on either Hrannar or Fatah or someone having to be a wing back on the other side, and then just no midfield, just strikers.
They'll at least save themselves from relegation in the final game round.
The best form of defense is attack, eh?
Exactly. The best form of winning titles is not getting relegated or something.
I mean, I think this team has quite a lot. If Sigurður Bjartur and Patrik Pedersen can play together, sort of get out of each other's way a little bit, because they both like to be box in the box kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If they can occupy two different spots in the penalty area, and you have guys like Hallgrímur Arnar and Aronsig feeding them, and then Hrannar Snær just like barging in behind them, I think this team would score like 3 goals every single game. They might concede. Yeah. But I mean, they have a good goalkeeper. They have, absolute stalwarts at the back. So yeah, maybe this team could go for Europe, I think.
Speaking of, if we want to, I don't know if this is a more important conversation or less, I guess less important. Move from the team of the season to the players of the round. I think I have to interject here, unfortunately, whilst editing this episode, to mention the fact that we forgot to mention the manager of the year as voted by us, and that of course goes to Rúnar Kristinsson, manager of Fram, who we had just finished singing the praises of, I guess, in the episode. So congratulations to Rúnar Kristinsson. Fantastic job with Fram, of course, all season, as you would expect from the man. Great manager, well deserved. Then Sigurður Bjartur, if I am not mistaken, is the only player to be represented in both. What an incredible honor. He scored, of course, his second hat-trick in a row, and I'm going to impose a new rule that if you score 2 hat-tricks in a row, you probably should get a star. He almost, he just the last 2 games of the season, he thought, listen, I'm going to go for top scorer. I'm going to go for golden boot. Fuck it. Let's see. And he almost got there.
Yeah, that says a lot about Patrik Pedersen as well. And I think he was voted the best player in the league by his fellow players. The fact that you have a striker who's had a very good season score 2 hat-tricks in a row and still not catch up to you. A guy who's been injured since August or September. August, right?
August, yeah. I mean, he was on an incredible pace before that injury, wasn't he? It's almost amazing to be that far, like almost that far behind and get so close still.
Yeah, as a KR fan, I never want to, like, you can have, a lot of different wishes for players and teams, but you never want anyone to be injured. But I am happy he stopped scoring because Benoni's record still holds for one more year. But I never would have wished him to be injured. But yeah, I am happy Benoni's record holds.
Should we just give Benoni a star for last season? Why not? No, let's give it to another coward player, shall we?
Yeah. Again, I think it's debatable. A lot of Otoko and the others did really well, but I think we can officially give Guðmundur Andri a star. He had this sort of game that many people would have expected from him when he came back from Norway. I remember seeing this kid when he was a teenager. He looked kind of like this, and then he hasn't. It's been something where it's never quite taken off consistently. So having this sort of game, this sort of moment is exactly what you needed, and I think he deserves a star. 2 goals, and he sort of got a fake star last week, so we give him a proper star this week.
It's kind of funny that we discussed the game at length before, and the 2 players we picked out were Venkalakoto and Auðugutti, and then we give the star to Guðmundur Andri. But that's showbiz.
And then our 3rd star, I'm sure, will come as some commiseration to Höskuldur Breiðablik. He scored 2 goals, and if you haven't seen the highlights, go and watch it, because in sort of I think it was almost the last kick of the game, an incredible bicycle kick which hit the bar and was millimeters away from sending them into Europe with a 4-2 win. So I'm sure he'd have much rather had Europe, but hopefully our 3rd star is some consolation for him.
Absolutely. So 3 well-earned stars of the round. Are they more important than team of the season? Who knows? We also have the listener questions to go over. There's 3 of them this week. Usually we have 1 or 2. Not this week. The first one is, were Breiðablik correct in firing Halldór? 30% saying yes, 52% saying no, and 18% saying no idea. The main question is, do we know if most of these answers came before or after the final game?
Most of them came before.
Ooh, very good. Oopsie daisy, one might say. The second question is, who will qualify for Europe? Hopefully these answers came in before. They did. 58% saying Stjarnan, 42% saying Breiðablik. They could have just checked our poll instead of playing the game. It would have saved everyone some energy. And then the final question was, who will escape relegation? Afturhelding, 10%, KR, 38%, Vestri, 52%. That's rough for you, Jamie, specifically.
Well, I prefer to think of our polls as being the binding outcome of the season, so I'm going to ignore the table and take the outcome of this.
Fair, absolutely fair.
Maybe you missed the disciplinary meeting was today, so you missed it. So you have to wait another week for the.
Exactly.
Fair enough. I guess the final thing we want to say before we go. First of all, are we going to have another episode where we go over the season, or is this the last one of the season?
I think we need to meet again when all the managers and stuff have been a bit more clear. We have when they open fired. I mean, we think we know who's the new Valur manager. We think we know who's the new FA manager, but I think we need to maybe have a discussion on those two for a bit more clarity. And so we'll be back.
Very good. Well, then the final thing I'll say before the last episode of the season is that the amount of spectators has been tallied for the season. And of course, the only real trophy that matters is the total number of spectators. So why don't we go ahead and hand the trophy to Jamie? Will you do the honors? Who gets the trophy?
I can't seem to read it now. I don't know.
It's difficult to read, I guess, but it is, of course, quite black and white, one might say. KR of course, the most seasons. The storied sort of team, the stalwarts, the most important team in the league, one might say, best fan base, etc., etc. Closest one, Víkingur, far behind, one might say. I can't tell exactly how far behind from this bar chart, but very far, I'd like to say. So well done, KR. Let's clap it out for Stórveldið. And I didn't even mean to rub it in, but by far in last place, by the way, by far, unfortunately, is Vestri. But allow me to, for the people at home who don't really know, the reason perhaps why Vestri's attendance is so dreadful, so historically dreadful, one might say, is that Vestri's stadium, let's call it, is built in such a manner that the stands are on one side, and the most amazing view of all stadiums in the world is on the other side. But it's built on like a hill, and the hill is of the same slope generally as the stands. So instead of paying your way into the stadium, what you can do is just sit on the grass behind the stands, and you'll get literally the same view of the game, except you don't have to pay for it. Do you think this plays into this at all?
Oh, it absolutely does. It's a very, very popular spot. And of course, at the top of the hill is a road running past. So it's prime opportunity to sit in your car in the warm when the game's going on in -6 and wind.
Yeah. So this is one of those beautiful things about statistics where sometimes you have to bring in the real world, where if KR says, sorry, Vestri really want to bring in some more money, then they should get some armed police officers to keep people off the grass.
There was a case in Manchester, I think, where like there was a hill where there was an Oasis concert where people could have just done that, watch from a hill, see the concert, but then the council put up a big wall in front of that to protect the trees. Apparently, was the official line.
Of course.
But I think the important thing from this chart is who is the fourth worst, because that's usually what people think about when they look at charts. Is they immediately need to know who's the fourth worst. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that was the number one thing I thought.
Jamie, you can clearly see who's fourth worst from this chart.
Even if you couldn't see, I think you could probably guess, right?
Yeah, I was trying to just avoid rubbing in the KR salt into the wound, but the fourth worst is absolutely Valur.
Dreadful season all around. Imagine being second place and fourth worst attendance. Like, no wonder they sacked their manager. Honestly. Total spectators, 105,603. So for those of you listening abroad, where that might fill one singular stadium in your Spains, in your Englands, get off your high horse. This is real football, first and foremost. So just, show up. But that's all for this week, I think, isn't it? We've been going on for quite a while, I think.
Yeah, I think we've quite enough.
There's quite enough of us. We will see you at some point in the near future, hopefully, for a bit of a wrap-up sesh. Congratulations to Víkingur once again, weeks after they actually won the title. Congratulations to KR for that spectacular final. Congratulations 1 year in advance to Vestri for making it back into Vestri-Deildin.
We hope. Well, I hope.
And we'll see you again soon, no?
Sounds like a plan.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.